Good evening, folks. Welcome each and every one of you, the guest, the media, the staff, the council member. May 26th, the last meeting of council in the month of May. It's my honor to acknowledge that we are gathered in the William Lake, Separate People's unceded territory. Thanks to elders, nation, chief, allowing us to do the business. The adoption of the agendas on the table, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Council Flashfuller, Council Beam. Any addition, deletion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Minute of the regular council meeting of May 12th.
So moved.
Moved and seconded, Councilor Nelson, Councilor Delaney. Any addition, deletion? All in favor? Carried. We had a two delegation. There were the detachment commander, Staff Sergeant Brad McCannon, and Peter Schultz, working on behalf of the NDIT on the BC rail issue. He would be to the Zooming. My honor to invite our detachment commander, please, sir.
Oh, there we go. Good evening.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Mayor, members of council, members of the public joining us tonight. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Staff Sergeant Brad McKinnon. I'm the acting officer in charge of the Williams Lake Detachment. So I'm going to go through a few things tonight, and I'm certainly open to questions at any point in my presentation, but there's a few important things I want to share with you. Our staffing levels, I'm pleased to tell you that we continue to remain very stable. The only vacant position we have at the detachment currently is that of the officer in charge. We have a new member arriving in June from Alexis Creek. This individual comes to us with several years of frontline policing experience and an extensive background in First Nation police services. And that person will be joining AWatch. To date, we have had 4,000, that's as of like 15 minutes ago, 4,360 police files have been dispatched to the Williams Lake Detachment. I'll just give you a bit of a breakdown of that. 1,407 files have been associated to complaints or calls for service in the downtown core. 31 of those files have been to Boytano Park. 83 of those files relate to property crime offenses that have been reported to the detachment. And to give you an idea, in 2025 at this time, we had 29 files in Boytano Park to 31 currently. Mischief files, property crime files, we had 64 in 2025. We now have 83. And a total of 51 cause disturbance files to 45 in 2025. So a little bit of a slight increase. It's easy to account for that. We're just out doing more work. That's the simple answer to that. So I sat down with my team and we took into consideration a lot of information from our stakeholders and we developed what we call our summer action plans. And those plans resulted in kind of 4 key areas that we identified to ensure public safety and reduce crime in the downtown core. So there's going to be targeted enforcement strategies dedicated towards these 4 areas. Boytano Park will be number 1, and we're going to take steps to ensure that the park is safe for all user groups and it's free of illegal activity. You've seen I'd say a pretty significant uptick in our presence there. We'll be working closely with the Roots on First shelter. And I'm pleased to tell you that we have met with the leadership group at the shelter. They've come into the detachment and we've had face-to-face meetings with all of our police officers. It's a very important relationship. It's one I'm very proud of, but it's important to have ongoing collaboration with that particular stakeholder. What goes on from there will involve all of our police officers doing tours of the facility and continuing to work with staff to work with and identify solutions for our most vulnerable and hold those to account who intend to exploit them. Outside of that, we'll focus on the rest of the downtown core, and we'll also have a strong emphasis placed on traffic patrols. The goal is to have a stronger presence, reduce impaired drug and alcohol-related driving offenses, and keep our streets safe for all. So that's kind of going to be our roadmap for how we navigate and police in Williams Lake through the summer months. Next up is the Stampede. As we know, I think it's year 98 for our Stampede. It's remarkable. and we are well prepared for that event. I'm pleased to tell you that there will be a significant police presence, and we'll be bringing officers in from all over the place to help us with that. We're competing with resource challenges due to the FIFA World Cup, but we have lots of bodies coming, and we plan to make it a fun and safe event for all in attendance. Part of that will also include the Uniform Gang Enforcement Team. They'll be deploying a 6-person team to our area to help us with that. And we intend to have RCMP recruitment events taking place at the Bronxbuster Trade Show, the rugby fields, and a few other locations throughout the city. We're hiring, and we want the world to know that. One of the other things I think it's really important for you to be aware of, and I'm quite proud of, we continue to work closely with the Community Safety and Targeted Enforcement Program, as well as the Special Investigation and Targeted Enforcement Group. These essentially are provincial funding streams that law enforcement can access to obtain funds to offset the cost of operational policing activities. We've been very successful in the past, and we're hoping that that luck continues this year. I want council to be aware of the fact that we have applied for and are just waiting on the final approval for the funding to offset all operational policing costs for the Williams Lake Stampede. The other thing that I think is really important to share tonight is I want to touch briefly again on the disclosure unit. And I want to thank this council for helping us with that. The stabilization of that unit has been essential. And it's allowing our officers to be out and be more productive and visible in the community. Essentially, it continues to drastically reduce the administrative workload of our police officers. It's getting them up from a computer screen and away from their desks and out on the street. And I think it's important for the group here tonight to be aware of the fact that this group continues to be a significant positive impact to how we police our communities. And I want to qualify that for you. So to give you an example, as a result, to date, 140 proactive police files have been created as a result of our ability to do more in the community because of the disclosure unit. That essentially breaks down to 35 proactive files per each of our frontline policing teams. We run a watch system, teams A through D. I'm very proud of that. The other thing that I think it's important to highlight is, and I've mentioned this in past presentations, but it's allowed us to continue to build and maintain an excellent relationship with Interior Health. I'm pleased to tell you that in May, we started our downtown foot patrols with the RCMP crisis response nurse and the crisis response team from Interior Health, and we've done 4 patrols, foot patrols this month. I did the first one, and I did almost 20,000 steps. Very, 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 very positive reviews. We've met with business owners, we've interacted with our most vulnerable, and we're trying to come up with ways to ensure wraparound services and supports are provided to those in need. We will continue with this throughout the summer months and continue to reevaluate that process and how it's working. It's going well, but we still have work to do, and we want all of our community members, in particular our small business owners, to know that we hear you, we see you, and we will do our part to help you. And it's been very well received. The other thing I want to share is we have some very unique partnerships at the detachment with other RCMP units and teams, and I just wanted to give you a bit of an idea of what those teams are doing to help us at the detachment and what that results in for the safety of our community. The first group I want to talk about is the BC Highway Patrol. So this is a unit that works out of our detachment. They are a provincial team, and their job is to provide, create, and ensure safe roadways, the safest roadways in the world. In a good chunk of 2025 and to date in 2026, I just want to give you a bit of breakdown of some of the things that they've done to help us primarily on Highway 97 and 20, but also a lot of our residential streets. And this is in addition to the work that my team and I do. 2,287 violation tickets, 1,125 notice and orders have been issued to motorists for infractions under the Motor Vehicle Act. This includes all streets and highways within our city. In addition to this, they've also issued 671 written warnings, and another 84 drug and alcohol-related drivers have been removed proactively from our streets. Again, this is all in addition to the work being done in the detachment. The Caribou-Chilcotin Crime Reduction Unit. This is another unit that works at our detachment, but they were instrumental in stepping up last summer and helping us out. And I want to give you an idea of some of the work that we've done in partnership with them. Both units are awesome group of individuals who are working hard every day to ensure public safety, but particularly in Williams Lake. With help from the Caribou-Chilcotin Crime Reduction Unit, more than 5 kilograms Again, I want to stress 5 kilograms of illicit drugs and substances have been seized and removed from our streets. These are all things that were destined for drug users. More than $140,000 in cash and 80 firearms. Combined, this has resulted in 31 additional charges being recommended to the BC Prosecution Service. So these are very important relationships that we've worked on and continue to build at the detachment, so we can ensure we're not only reacting to crime, but we're taking steps to prevent it. The other thing I want you to be aware of is tomorrow we have our Meet the First Responders in the park. So between 10 and 12, we'll have all the elementary schools coming through the park to meet with police officers and firefighters from our city. This is a big thing for our schools, but we just weren't in a position to host them at the detachment this year like we have in years past. But because of the importance of a relationship with the school board, we wanted to give them something special. So tomorrow between 10 and 12, we're going to have quite an event in the park, and everyone is welcome to attend that, and we're pumped for that. The last thing I want to share is, and I like to kind of hit these points home, but I want everyone to be aware that crime reduction continues to be our top priority at the detachment. And we continue to use focus. A significant focus gets placed on data-led intelligence that gets driven from calls for service, and we utilize that to put into play effective crime reduction models. We continue to change the focus and structure of our support staff, so our police officers are on the street doing more police work. We continue to adopt hotspots and ensure all officers and the groups we work with are focused on areas that are most likely to be impacted by crime, linking uniform officers, investigative teams, and intelligence to targets and locations with the highest priority to be problematic. We will always and continue to be leaders at our multi-agency tables and are working closely with the city on a local action team that we have developed in the last year to come up with solutions that are collaborative and involve not just the RCMP, but all stakeholders who want to have a piece in the solution. We continue to increase our visibility on streets and parks and known problem areas, and this approach continually gets refined as new information becomes available. And as I've always said, and I want to say this again, most crimes are crimes of opportunity. There's a role for everybody. Lock your doors, secure your bikes, and we can reduce crime together. Thank you.
Well, first of all, let me thank you and your team on behalf of the council, the community, the work you and your team do, your boys and girls at the detachment do. When we all are sleeping, they're up and running around, making sure the citizen, the taxpayers, all are at ease or they can sleep safely. It's an honor for the community to know, for me, where would you find a detachment commander on the weekend? He's on the road with his boys and girls. I really appreciate, sir. There are lots to be said here, we can say, but bottom line is I really appreciate it, the cooperation you and your team has done, the work you and your team has done. Please convey on behalf of the council from Mayor's office our gratitude and thanks to all your members in William Lake. I got a Councillor Flash Fuller and Councillor Nelson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I just also want to thank you for coming in and bringing this information to us and to the community. And I just want to emphasize how much I appreciate that aspect of face-to-face that you're mentioning. Like, I think it's so important for our community because as we, encounter all these challenges in all our community, we want that safety. You guys are a reflection of safety. And the more that you are there doing those networking with the shelter, doing the foot patrols, stopping in at those businesses downtown. I just think it really hits home on showing those community members that you guys are there for all of us. And I just think that's really great work for your team to be putting together. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Flasher. Councillor Nelson.
Thanks very much. Thanks for the presentation, Brad. I appreciate it very much. Just a quick question before I get to my comments and a recommendation. Gary, can you give the community a bit of an update over the last 5 days, the magnitude of disorder and mischief that's occurred in the downtown core?
Mr. Maraca.
Thanks, Your Worship. To Councillor Nelson, I'll do my best just based on the stuff that I know of. I know of a couple fires, one in Botania on the weekend, one down by DJ's and behind San Jose, logging below it. I know that there was some individuals that were camped out in a vehicle that the RCP responded to and did what they do with the individual. I know that there was concerns about a bunch of busted windows and vehicles in the downtown core that I've been made aware of from the public, as well as I think there was a busted window at the toy store, Kit and Caboodle. I know I can only speak for like our public works staff and how much the RCMP have been instrumental in making sure our staff stay safe and come and always attend when we need them. So I want to say I appreciate that a lot from all the members that are in the audience as well here. So, but whether it's patrolling Botanical Park, the stage was covered today with a couple individuals. I know that there's been many times where the police have been in there clearing those places out. Every day they're in there, every first thing in the morning. And yeah, we appreciate that as well. So other than that, that's just the last week. That's the last 4 days.
Thank you very much. Brad, I think you guys do an absolutely unbelievable, incredible job policing in this community. We can't have an RCMP on every corner, but you guys appear almost on every corner. And I know the little rascals run away when they see a cop car coming. I got it. But here's the problem we got. We've got guys that are not allowed in shelters, that are kicked out of the shelters because for some reason they don't meet the rules. They're drunk, they're on drugs, but they're not allowed in the shelters. So what does the province do? The province doesn't allow them into the shelters. They put them back onto the streets of Williams Lake. So we become the daycare for people that have got mental issues and drug issues on the streets. I'm well aware that the RCMP are continuously catching these guys, arresting these guys, putting these guys in jail, walking them across the street to Crown Council, given the recommendation, the virtual judge appears, and guess what happens? That same guy that has been caught 5, 10, 15, 20 times by the cops is let free again within 6 hours, back onto the streets, free freedom. That's the problem that we've got right now. So all these strategies that we got, all these good things that we keep doing, all this money that we keep dumping into this, it's not working. And it's not working because there's no accountability. We put the money up, you guys are catching them. You're catching them. These guys don't have no respect for the RCMP either. As soon as you catch them, they get released. They get released back into the community. There's the problem that we've got. So at the end of the day, how do you deal with it? I made a list. They smashed windows out of the hub building. The pet store, they kicked in the Mr. Mike's Popeyes, they broke the window out. Kit and Caboodle, they threw rocks at it, smashed the corner of it over the weekend. Santronics, they smashed the window out of the car. Williams Lake Towing, they started a fire down there. Downtown Towing, they started a fire, and then the guy hid. 2 guys. This doesn't include all the fires that have started and all the damages that have been done to the city property. There's 100 homeless people in our community. Out of the 100 homeless people, there's probably 15 to 20 that are simply badasses. They don't care about cops. They don't care about drugs. They don't care about the city. They don't care about Williams Lake. They're going to get arrested. They're going to go to jail. And they know they're going to be released. They know that there's no repercussions. I got it. Who cares? Throw me in jail for 6 hours. I'll be back on the street. That's what's happening. So we can hold every meeting we want. We can put every strategy in place. But there is a fundamental responsibility, and that falls to the province. So me personally, I'm fed up. I'm done with these prolific offenders. I'm done with these guys that are cracked out all the time, 24/7. They don't know whether they're in Williams Lake or Timbuktu. If I'm ever in that position, put me into the hospital and make sure that I get better. It's not the right life. So I think that we need to take a little bit more dramatic action than just starting to chat about it. So I think quite clearly, Your Worship, what we need to do is to look, how do we deal with these issues? Outside the typical box, because we give the RCMP almost every tool you can imagine, including we gave you guys a drone lately that helps out. So the tools are there, but these guys are much more smarter than all of us because they keep getting let out and let out and let out and let out. We know that the Crown Council in town, we're one of 11 communities in the northern side of the province that are short a crown. But it goes back to where the sentencing is taking place, and that's the judges, Your Worship. So I hate to say this, but it's going to be a reality. You got 15 to 20 guys that the province refuses to deal with, to put them into involuntary treatment, to get them off our streets, that makes our community get terrorized by the same core group of people. These are not your typical homeless people. Let's be clear. Let's be honest. Let's be upfront. We're not talking about homeless people here, folks. You're talking about people that are truly terrorizing our community, creating havoc, creating mischief. I just got a picture, which I shared with the mayor today, of a family who's got 2 kids, a guy walking across the parking lot out of nowhere, goes over and just kicks the living hell out of the back of her car, thousands of dollars damage, walks away. That's not normal. So if it's not normal, that guy's got to get off the streets. Here's the problem. We know, because of the federal rules and the laws, we're in a very awkward position. There's one thing that we do have, and that's called control over the jails. So frankly, if you want to get serious and you want to remove the criminals off your streets, if the Crown Council and the judges won't do it for you, you got a choice. I'd close your jails temporarily for 60 days because they would export them. It's going to cost us, but they're going to be removed out of this community because if we don't have a jail that's open, the police are forced to take them to the next community that's got the space available. And frankly, it rids our community of the parasites that are driving our community crazy and terrorizing our community. So I'm of a very strong position. And some of you may advocate, let's help them out and do more. Well, I got it. The 80%, I'll support that. The core group that's vandalizing our community, trying to start a fire just about every single day in our community, do not deserve the right to be on the streets of Williams Lake. If the province can't house them in a nonprofit organization, in a housing facility built for them, and they kick them back onto the streets of Williams Lake, why would the city of Williams Lake take that onus and that responsibility on? They have no respect for our community. We know we can't ban them, but we can certainly ship them out. So I hate to get radical, but Your Worship, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And if we don't help the RCMP out more and help the community out, we're only going to get further behind. So I've got a recommendation when we're done the discussion around the table. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Councilor Nelson. I hear your concern. Like the old saying, you can put police officer every corner. I don't think we can provide the safety. Community, we all have to work together. There's 4, 5, 10 people on the watch. They could be Big Lake, they could be 150, they could be anywhere. If somebody's doing bad thing in the community, we have to let somebody know right away. We have to police ourselves. I got Detachment Commander, then Councilor Moses, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Nelson, thank you for your conviction. I can certainly let you know that we echo some of your frustrations and concerns, but I think it would be remiss of me I just want to speak to a couple of things that I think are really important for our community to be aware of. I couldn't be prouder of our relationship with Interior Health. I couldn't be prouder of our relationship with the BC Prosecution Service. And so much of what we do boils down to our relationships. And I just feel it's important to reiterate the fact that we have had a tremendous amount of success in getting some of these individuals off of our streets, whether it be in jail, we're taking steps now with Interior Health to not just be reactive, but to be proactive. So when people are coming off long-term injections and things like that, we're collaboratively trying to work and highlight to the health authority what these fine individuals behind me and the amazing human beings at that detachment see and do in between those gaps. And we're having success. We're having success. And even today, I was on the phone with our local Crown Council, our Min Crown Council, and we're working on solutions to try and make sure we're holding those individuals accountable. And it is working. It's not perfect. And we have work to do. I want to be clear on that. We have work to do as the RCMP, but we're not going to stop. And there is no easy. We'll never police our way out of dealing with unhoused individuals. We'll never police our way out of addictions. That's a collaborative thing. And it's not ours alone to lead. It's ours to assist and help with. But we will continue to be leaders in driving solutions, and we continue to have success. It's not always as quickly as we want, but we are making gains. And I just feel it's important to highlight the value that I, as leadership of the detachment, place on those relationships and how impactful some of the results we have gotten are. But I want to reiterate, I also echo, and I know my team echoes, some of the frustrations that you expressed tonight. But we will continue to do our part. And again, I want our community to know that we hear you, we see you, and we will do what we can to help. But we can't do it alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Moses, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, first off, thank you for coming to us again and providing us with all these updates on what is happening in our community. It's really good to hear what is being done for our community successfully. It's also good to hear that your staffing levels have been stable and that even more are coming and that you're still actively recruiting. These are great updates to hear. Also, the partnerships you mentioned are inspiring, including, as you said, working closely with the Roots on First shelter, with the community safety group, the crisis response team with Interior Health. That one I'm especially excited about. With downtown businesses, the BC Highway Patrols, the Caribou-Chilcotin Crime Reduction Unit, School District 27, as well as with the city and the local action team. Those are the exact types of collaboration that, under the leadership of our mayor, Your Worship, is exactly what we strive for here, to try to ensure that we're doing as much as we can to assist our community. All these organizations that you're working with and that you have these partnerships with are all doing their part for our community safety. So I just want to make sure that I thank them and that I thank you and your team for doing the hard work that you do, the incredibly hard work to help keep our community safer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moses. Anybody first time? Before I go second time to Councillor Nelson, it's my honor to announce I've been informed by our Community Policing Chair, Bob Sunner. They're starting, I believe, 4th or 5th Avenue, the block watch. If anybody's interested, get hold of Bob Sunner. There's some very little paperwork need to be done, but get hold of Bob Sunner, who's the Community Policing Chair. And we used to have block watch years back, my time, when I was involved, but somehow, due to the lack of volunteerism, is disappeared. Councillor Nelson.
When I was down at downtown towing, Brian said something very interesting. As a matter of fact, I was quite shocked. He was telling me, credit to the RCMP, arrested the one individual, Judd, I think his name was, arrested him, who was well known, and arrested, put into jail, back out on the streets. But what he did say to me was rather shocking. I said, how often do you get broken into? He said, well, right now, once a month. He said, during the winters, months, 2 to 3 times a week. I said, say again? He said, 2 to 3 times a week. Talked to Carl Johnson, kit and caboodle, one of the most generous business people we've got in town. If there isn't somebody stealing out of his store every day, they're breaking a window. In the last 12 months, he spent $20,000 to replace windows. $20,000 to replace windows. They smashed the window right, the door right out of Mr. Mike's. There's zero consequences. You guys do an unbelievable job in Williams Lake. Don't get me wrong. I'm a God, lover, I applaud with what you guys do. The problem is we have a core group of individuals that just don't give a rat's ass about Williams Lake. And that's the problem. And until you get rid of that core group, and I realize, what is there, 5 on GPS now in town? There's 5 people, which is a record. There should be 15 on GPS, in my opinion. It is the core group that we need to ensure that they're in jail, they're in an involuntary treatment center, or they're moved out of the community. If the province kicks them out of a nonprofit organization that is supposed to look after these individuals, and they put them onto the streets of Williams Lake and ask the residents to look after these people, that's a screwed up system, man. It's screwed up. And there's the problem right there. And those are the core people that we need to deal with. And if it means to do something like, unfortunately, having to look, I'm not saying we do it today, but I'm sort of going to ask council to look at the options, because if we can't process them here, that means they're moved to a different community. Good luck getting back to Williams Lake, because we won't have a bus ticket back to Williams Lake. They'll head north or south to Alaska. So I think that we need to be creative. We need to get smarter and outthink these guys that just don't care about our community. And that's the problem. The province isn't going to help us out. The feds aren't going to help us out. It's a street fight out there right now for these businesses and for the communities. So it's being creative. So when you're ready, I'm prepared to put a recommendation on, your worship.
Yes, I'm ready.
Oh,
Go ahead.
that council requests staff to hold a emergency community public meeting to include the RCMP, the business community, interior health, social agencies, and the shelters and other key stakeholders to address the street disorder and the mischief in the community, specifically in the downtown core, as well as other options of closing the jails temporarily to transport the key criminals out of the community temporarily.
So you're moving that, I need, thank you. Moved and seconded. Now this, you're asking this resolution to the council to have, for the sake of brainstorming, finding a solution. Am I correct?
That is exactly what I'm asking council to do. No
Okay,
decisions, but to,
on the motion,
like to speak.
who's going to speak? Councilor
to speak.
Bain, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for coming and speaking. And I mean, I did attend the other information session you had, and that's the only reason I think I would second that motion, is if we're going to meet with the community. If we're going to do a bigger, like that meeting you held, I thought was excellent, and involving all the businesses. But perhaps I'm not against, I'm always about involving everyone. If there's ways we can get community involvement, community policing, like instead of just, if you were interested in doing it, I think it should be driven by the RCMP though, perhaps, and looking at other solutions potentially as well. And I just think as a group, we are stronger together, as everybody wants to say. But I think the more people and the more solutions you have by the whole community having to come up, I'm certainly okay if the RCMP is with having a meeting, a global, all stakeholders, all people, anyone interested, community, not just business owners, but anyone who is worried about the downside of what's going on. And I think a group meeting, if that's what you're proposing, Councillor Nelson, I'm 100% for that. I don't think it needs to have solutions necessarily ahead of time, unless the RCMP feel there's stuff that they have. But I'm fine with seconding
you.
that in that frame of mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mraka, are you okay with the resolution on the floor?
Your Worship, I think I just add to that that resolution and invite the MP and MLA to that meeting.
Be invited.
favorable amendment.
Moved and second, is okay with the mover and seconder. I get Councilor Flashholder, then Councilor Nelson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I so appreciate your presentation and the information you give us, because I know it's factual. I know it has such good collected data behind it all. I would like to know your perspective on this resolution, if you are able, and I would also like to know your perspective in regards to the concept of closing the jails, because that's the first I've heard of this concept, and I feel that that's a pretty big move that would have a lot of different things that need to be considered, and I'm not sure that's something that us as a council should be making a decision on. So if you are willing, I would love to hear that.
Please.
Brad, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Flashpolar. So I think it's important to recognize I have a very distinct role in what are three very unique and distinct silos. We have the police, we have the courts, and we have correction. And while we often work collaboratively, and there's a lot of overlap, those silos operate independently for a reason. So let me give you a little bit of background. So Williams Lake is a hub location, but our remand centers, right, where people who are accused of a crime and may be held prior to a trial, typically they're housed, so women and youth get held in Prince George currently, and our adult males get sent to the Kamloops Regional Correction Center. So a lot of people who are remanded into provincial custody do not stay in the community as it is. There's been a lot of guidance given by higher level of courts on that because of the disruption moving people from one community to another can cause. It could be something as simple as us inheriting a prisoner from Alexis Creek or Anaheim Lake. We need to be cognizant and alive to the challenges that can come with moving someone. So that said, not my bakery, so to speak, right? I think it's an interesting concept, but I'm going to reserve a personal opinion on that. What I can tell you is we'll catch them, we'll send the information through, and we will make sure we work with our partners to highlight the gravity of the concerns that exist. Now, the next part of your question, or the first part I should address. So I think, we're a representation of our community, right? We are citizens, we raise families, we buy from the businesses. We have a very vested interest in it, and we have incredible, incredible human beings that work at the detachment, both in uniform and those who support the men and women in uniform behind the scenes, right? One doesn't work without the other. They have to coexist. And they never cease to amaze me what they do every day. But I think it's important to recognize that, yeah, we need to play a role in that. I think there needs to be some parameters established, but I tell people all the time, if you go through the process, I'll always make time for you. So, hosting a community forum, something along those lines, if it's going to turn into something that generates solutions and not a mudslinging contest, because we need to avoid that, right? We need to be focused on a solution or solutions, right? I would absolutely participate in something like that. I think the community would need me there and my team. But I've said it before, I'll say it again. We are one part of this, right? And while we hold a big stake in that, we cannot solve these issues on our own. We exist to ensure public safety and that crimes are properly investigated. There's a lot that comes with that. But at the end of the day, I do believe unequivocally partnerships, relationships, and collaboration are the key to solving things. And I'm very proud of the relationships that we have in this community. And like I said, we still have work to do, but we are getting things done. And I do echo some of the frustrations that have been expressed here tonight. We feel them too, because we're human. But when it comes to the work that gets done, I'm also very proud of that. And that we will continue to do that work, and we will continue to grow our game. We will continue to be responsive and be a data-driven organization. But we need help, right? We need help, and we're getting that help. We're getting that help, and it's working. And we need to continue to champion and drive change. So I hope that answers your question. I think it warrants a further look, and I would be happy to contribute to that in any way that I can.
Thank you. Thank you for your response. I know I'm putting you on the spot, so I appreciate it, but I get put on the spot with these resolutions as well. So I'd like to collect as much information and perspectives as I can. I am also somewhat fearful that it could be set up that it would appear as a mudslinging session, and that I, of course, don't want to see either. I feel that we are, as you're indicating, doing some great proactive work, collaborative work in our community. And as my colleague, Councillor Bain mentioned, 100% support that. So if whatever's to be set up is something to create solutions to these issues, wonderful. But if it is a setup where it's just going to be a session of people angrily expressing their frustrations and their fears with no solutions, then I can't support that. And then when it comes to any big position of making a decision about closing the jails, I would need a lot more information in regards to that. And I would like to get clarity at the end of this on that resolution of what that wording was before I vote. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I'm totally in favor of you. when any meeting comes that take place in the city hall, obviously Mayor would be chairing. I'll make sure there's no mudslinging allowed. And if we have to seek some assistance from our administration staff, I will not be hesitating there. Mr. Maraca, then Councillor Delaney, then Councillor Nelson.
Let Councilor Delaney.
Okay, Councillor Delaney, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Sergeant McKinnon, for your presentation. It's always great to hear what's happening, and glad to hear that we've got the staffing levels where they're helping, and you've got everybody boots on the ground. I love the talk of all of the collaboration. I think it's exactly what we need to be doing. I don't disagree with Councillor Nelson on some of his, just his passion for the downtown. Councillor Nelson is very passionate about our business owners and what they are up against. It's not just our business community, it's every business community throughout the countryside that is experiencing these issues. So I wouldn't be opposed to a public information session or something that would be driven, moderated in a way that would provide an opportunity for clear solutions and outcomes and collaborations on it. I'm not sure, although the political card, it's a good political move to threaten to close the jail and send people other places, and I don't completely disagree with it. It's not my style. I think that we would just be pushing the burden onto another detachment. I don't really like that, and I know you said it's not your bakery, wouldn't be your bailiwick anyways to say let's go ahead and do this. I would, say similar to Councillor Flashpuller that if we were going to consider something like that, I definitely would need, I'd need a little bit of information. I wouldn't want staff to go and spend a ton of time and energy on this though, because yeah, well, we already have. I mean, if you think about the, all of the organizations that you listed out tonight, that's a lot of collaboration that's happening already within the community to find solutions. And we are finding solutions. Like you said, you've been successful in bringing people off of the street. We are successfully monitoring some of the people, maybe not all of the people. And we're slowly, getting, we're gaining a little bit of traction. I don't know if we're ever going to win this battle, to be honest. People need to want to better themselves in order to get a foot forward in this situation that we're in. But I would support having more dialogue and trying, and maybe it would be partly the chairs of those different community tables that are, happening come and provide a presentation to the community so that, like,
Thank you,
we're
guys.
lucky because we get your information, we get these quarterly reports. We also get reports from the Interior Health. Like, we just had one on all of the different supports that we have from Mental Health Association, which was actually quite a bit. I was surprised at how much support we had available. To be able to maybe get those people in the room and be able to provide some information, because not everybody watches these council meetings. Honestly, I don't think, sometimes they do, but most of the time nobody's going to go on, let's go check out the council meeting. So we could get all those people in the room to maybe reflect back to the community what is actually happening, and then ask them, like, where do you see the gaps? And maybe we can find a few more solutions that are grassroots. Maybe they're a little bit outside the box, but in a way that we're not breaking any more rules or causing more angst for another community. Like I said, I don't love Mr. Nelson's political style, but it works sometimes. So I can't say that I would be totally opposed if we were going to look at something like that.
Thank you. Councillor Nelson, anything, sorry, you wanted to say?
Thank you, Mr.
Go
Mayor.
ahead.
I just want to share something. It might be beneficial, just a suggestion. So we have worked on establishing a local action team that brings together the heads of most of our partner agencies and stakeholders. And we've met several times. It's been very productive. And I just want, stuff like that is happening. And there is a lot of information available through Ms. Dubray that would be helpful to highlight those things, because we are doing that. Maybe you want to have it more public. That's certainly something that could be considered. But I do want you to know that there's been 2 meetings now on our local action team with all the heads of the departments and the groups working in our community, and they've been very successful. Yeah, so just awareness.
Thank you, Councilor Nelson. And anything hasn't been said, only new item, no repetition, please. We got a 3/4 of an hour only on the one item. Councilor Nelson, then the last person to speak would be Councilor Bain, and then Mr. Maraca, then we're going to call the question on it, please.
Two additional points, Your Worship. I'd also like to add in the Crown Prosecution Branch and our MP into the resolution.
You got the resolution. I would like to have the copy, so.
And just to summarize this is a recommendation to ask the staff to look at. I can tell you right now, we just had the Attorney General in our community. We had a letter 3 weeks ago back from her with empty promises. My colleague, Councilor Moses, even alluded to it. It was empty promises. We can't ban people from the community, but what we can do is ship out the problems. And that's the intent behind this resolution. So if I'm the Attorney General and we hear that Williams Lake is now saying, look, it's so out of control that we may have to close our jails temporarily to ship the criminals to an area, a different community that has more room, good luck getting them back into the community. We cannot leave any stone unturned. It's crazy out there right now. All I'm asking staff is to look at it, bring back some recommendations, and go from there. That's all I'm asking for.
I appreciate
Thank you.
that. Could you bring the resolution to Rena, just for Councilor Bain
Yes.
is next to speak, but just for the community's information and detachment commander, the Attorney General was over the weekend. She was here. I ended up spending good couple hours, 3 hours with her. She had a good earful from me and a staff member, and she didn't went away empty ears. She got lots to take it back from me, and everybody knows that. Could you bring that to writing, please, to the clerk? And Councilor Bain, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to add my 2 cents that I'm glad the local, I mean, I think there is fabulous things going. That's what a public meeting is for, to tell the public. Unfortunately, those stay in silos of who knows who's in the know. And I feel like letting the community know, because they're seeing it, they're dealing with it. I've had, even today in my office, people commenting about seeing the increased presence of the RCMP, which is fabulous, like not in a obviously in a positive way. So that's excellent. But I think those meetings for me is an information sharing, and to let people know what is going on and the positivity and what they can do to help, or what things are to be reported, or what other. And as far as being positive, in my belief, the more you let people hear and talk and do it, the more respectful. And I think you can handle things respectfully. I think if you make it that way, it is respectful, and you leave if not. I'm always like, I'll leave. If I'm not respected, I'm out of here. So I feel you just have to go in with those kind of.
No, thank you, all the work you guys do. I want a final word from Mr. Maraca, and then we're going to call the question, please.
Thanks, Your Worship. And thank you, Brad, for your presentation. I think I just want to, again, I want to reiterate our appreciation from the staff level for all the work that the RCMP does with our staff to keep us safe and make sure that we're able to do what council wants us to be done. But what we're seeing out there, and I'm sure I wouldn't want to be a police officer right now, there's a complete lack of respect for the authority. And every day your people go out there and they put themselves in the line of fire to protect the community. And I just want to make sure everybody appreciates the work you do. I wasn't a great kid, but there's one thing I did. When a cop said stop, guess what I did? And there's no need to run my name. Lots. Anyway, so I just want to just reiterate that, say that again, that I really appreciate it. And I think that just from my experience at this table and my experience dealing with the RCMP and stuff like that, all these conversations are great. I mean, we heard from Nikki Sharma, we've heard it from the RCMP, we've heard it from all the social agencies and everything else. But what we never, until we get some explanations and accountability from the judicial side of it, from the judges, these conversations are just conversations, because it's just a revolving door. They go to Brad arrests them, he puts them back on the street, he goes back.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, the city of Williams Lake taxpayer and this community pays 70% of Brad's time to go be putting these people behind bars. But the judges have no accountability and they have no explanations. And until we get them to the table, or until senior levels of government can get them there, I'm not optimistic that they're, other than, I like the idea of the community meetings and stuff like that. But Nikki Sharma's letter is pretty clear. They keep them independent, but Everybody's got bosses. Somebody's got to hold the judicial side of it accountable. Until they do, we're just spinning our wheels because Brad can do whatever he wants 500 times a day. He can stand out there and wrestle the same guy 10 times.
Excellent. Could you read the motion, please, if you don't mind?
The recommendation is that council request staff to hold an emergency community public meeting to include RCMP, Crown Prosecution, business community, interior health, social service agencies and shelters, and other stakeholders to address the street disorder and mischief in the community, as well as the option of closing our jails temporarily to transport the criminals out of our community, and that the MP and MLA be invited to attend.
Councillor Flash-Fuller.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would respectfully request that we could get those two items separated for voting, if that's possible.
Which two items?
The one being the public meeting and then the other one being the closing the jails.
Okay,
Because it sounds like that
I hear you.
recommendation is
Is that okay with the mover and
closing the
seconder?
jails.
Is that okay with the mover and seconder, please?
Well, it's a one-punch hit.
Again? Please.
In my mind, and Councilor Nelson can correct me, but it was meant as one suggestion in that meeting. or
Correct.
to bring up. And to me, it's always about different options. I don't think he said that, so it could be phrased like it was options, but that was one. To me, it was part of it. It wasn't a.
Councillor Nelson, I want to hear from you.
Councillor Boehm hit it on the head. I said, as an option, we would ask staff to go back
Okay,
and bring
it's
us.
option.
Option.
It's option. Staff will report it back. Did it answer your question?
Thank you, Your Worship. So is that changing in the verbiage then? Like, are you written
No,
it
they,
differently?
according to the
Like-
mover second, it's a one resolution. It's with the option. Not has to, it's option. Staff, but they review, talk to anybody and everybody, and they report it back.
So just for clarity, it's not going to happen until we get a report back. Does it make sense? What are the pros and the cons to it? I'm just trying to put more tools in the toolbox for
That's
council.
all. It's
Okay.
not a have to, it's option.
Oh,
Sorry, do you mind? So just to clarify, my take on the original motion was that that would be a discussed option at this
Correct.
public
Yes.
meeting. Do you also want to report back right now, or would this wait until a meeting is?
It would all come back together.
All the report will come back in one. Yeah. Councillor Moses, please. Sorry.
Sorry.
Councillor Flaxfuller,
Yeah.
no, you finish.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to, the reason that I was kind of looking to have them split, I am so supportive of trying to have more work to try and, better these challenges and try and make things, I get it. I understand my colleagues' frustrations. I'm frustrated as well for these businesses. But I am also very fearful of we all of a sudden take a position like this. We are going to be another community position that's going to bring in all of that media. That's going to be negative media again for Williams Lake when we start talking about closing jails, because I don't know of other communities that are doing this right now. So that's my fear in my vote decision. Thank you.
I'd second that amendment.
You second the amendment that we
to
deleted
separate-
or?
Just to separate them.
Oh, separate them. So you're moving and okay, I'll have the vote on separating the motion, please. All in favor of moving the separation? Against? So it will remain together. Motion defeated.
Call the question?
Mr. Councilor Moses, you raised your hand. That was the reason or?
That was it. Thank you, Your
Okay,
Worship.
all in favor, because we spent only 1 hour, there's no delegations waiting over 3/4 of an hour. All in favor of the motion as written, gathering all the information with the help of the staff and brainstorming, and the date would be set with the help of the staff in my office put together, and all in favor? Nobody's opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. Never thought it will take this long. A council member was telling me the meeting is half an hour long before, and I told him, hey, it's up to you how many questions are. We spent already 1 hour. It's never heard of 1 hour delegation.
Thank you for the
But I
information.
appreciate, please convey our gratitude on behalf of the council to your soldier, to your team. I really thank each and every one of you what you do. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Moving along, delegation number 2, Peter, I believe Thank you, Peter. My apology keeping you so long waiting, and the floor is yours, sir.
No problem, sir. Hello, council, and thank you for this final delegation on reporting on the results of phase one. The phase one project is complete. The report is finished. It is with NDIT for final review and editing. I've been advised to indicate that the opinions expressed here are those of Karen Stone Planning and Peter Schultz. They may or may not represent the opinions of Northern Development Initiative Trust. So there's a lot to talk about. The report is 95 pages long with additional 60 pages of appendixes. I'm not going to go over it, but I've picked and chosen certain data points that I think will be of interest to this council, and I'll keep it as short as I can and then be open for questions. So 4 items that I think will be of interest is that we felt that the minimum viable corridor is from Williams Lake to Squamish, instead of 100 Mile House as being the northern terminus. And the reason for that is that there is existing traffic heading north out of Williams Lake, whose final destination is the lower mainland. And if a short line operator has either track sharing or exclusive use of the track between 100 Mile House and Williams Lake, then a good chunk of that traffic would be naturally drawn to saving a 1,000-kilometer journey and going straight down through 100 Mile House, which would provide an initial source of revenue for any new operator to take over the trackage between Squamish and 100 Mile House. In terms of cargo counts, I was not able to get original data out of the trucking industry. However, I did go to the truck counter stations and looked at online. I was downloadable through the province of British Columbia website using Excel files, and looked at the counters at 150 Mile, Clinton, and China Bar, which is in the Fraser Canyon. China Bar and Clinton are within 4% of each other in terms of amount of traffic, and 150 Mile House is about 25 to 40% higher than the other two. So what that indicates is that, and there's almost no truck traffic heading from Clinton down into Lillooet. What that indicates is that the vast majority of the freight traffic is by highway, and it is traveling the Caribou Highway and the Fraser Canyon to Lower Mainland, as one might expect. Now, when you take the number of trucks that are passing by and you multiply by them by an average of 10 tons per truck, and then you multiply that by 50% empty backhaul, and then multiply that by 60% slack load, you come up with a number 6.3 million tons a year, which is an interesting number, in part because Columbia Rail indicated that the amount of tonnage that they anticipate they have to move along the Williams Lake to Squamish stretch every year to achieve operational cost neutrality, in other words, how much you have to move before you're starting to turn a profit, is 2.35 million tons a year. And which correlates to 47,000 rail cars a year. And the historic amount of traffic on that was around 120,000 cars a year, admittedly that was before the Beetle. And the BC Rail was turning a profit in 2002, which came through another source. So if the railway is able to capture 37% approximately of the highway traffic between the Caribou and Lower Mainland, then a short line operator would be turning a profit. Those numbers, I am being very clear on the source so that you can, I'm not saying it is, I'm saying, I'm giving you the source so that the listener can understand the black and white and the potential for error for themselves. My opinion is that the business case is very sound, and a truck roll-on, roll-off program or a piggyback system is likely to capture a big portion of the existing truck traffic. because of lower costs and driver fatigue issues, which will decrease costs for transportation overall, which will increase demand and cause a positive feedback cycle across the entire region. That is my opinion. Where that correlates to passenger services is that a good chunk of that freight is groceries. And BC Rail that was their business model. They had a grocery train, which had the groceries were loaded onto trucks. The trucks were put on the train and then dropped off at the communities on the way up or down. And passenger cars were added on. This has got the interest of Via Rail. I have not reached out to Via Rail. Via Rail reached out to Columbia on their own. Because they have a model in northern Manitoba where there's a scheduled freight train that mainly carries household goods, community resupply, and groceries that goes on a scheduled basis. And they stuck a couple of Via Rail cars on it so people could buy a ticket and take the train up. And basically kind of reinventing the wheel here. A model worked 25 years ago, and all the numbers they paid would most likely work again. I put a lot more work into the final report than I expected because I felt that I needed to have a working knowledge of the revitalization agreement, which is effectively the contract between CN Rail and BC government, which was closed in 2004. The contract is 457 pages long. And I had a look at that and became somewhat literate in that contract, and also became somewhat literate in the Canada Transportation Act. And the item that I'll highlight for you now or two items that I'll highlight that I think councils should know is, number one, to my understanding of the read of the contract, when CN exercises a right to shut down a portion of the BC Rail system, which they have applied to do under phase 1 of the Canada Transportation Act, which we are now in, which ends on July 11th, 2026, so about 7 weeks from now. The BC government has the right to sell that trackage to CN for $1. But the liability for any environmental contamination over the last 25 years stays with the province. So when Minister Farnworth 2 Fridays ago made a verbal statement that BC government would not be selling the track, that was a very significant statement in light of the CTA and the contract, the revitalization agreement. I do believe that that statement should be followed up with a written statement to the same effect from BCRC. That is very, very important because it is not, in my opinion, not in the best interests of the communities for that transfer to occur. I have to be careful here. Again, I'm reiterating, this is Peter Schultz speaking. This is not representative of the funding agency or any other party. That is my opinion. Which will lead into my role as I hope to adapt it, which is to be given a mandate by a group of municipalities to become as an advocate and a coordinator for moving this project to getting an actual shoreline on the track. So that's a bit of a segue, but I would like that mandate, which is the reason I feel I don't have that mandate, which is why I'm slightly uncomfortable saying that. But I do feel that municipalities should take a strong interest in that, because if it is sold, then this project has been for naught. If it is sold for $1, this project will have been for naught. Second, is timelines. Under the Canada Transportation Act, there's a notice of discontinuation, which is 1 year. Which ends, as I've said, in July 2026. And then there's an RFP process, which is to be, and I will mention that the CTA allows the Class 1 railway during the discontinuation process to do a sublet to a different operator without having to go through the CTA process. So they could do that tomorrow. Once July 11th comes and goes, the CTA process gives to the Class 1 railway the right has to do an RFP for interested parties to indicate their qualifications and their interest in operating the railway. CN has not to my knowledge, issued that RFP at the present time, nor issued the criteria by which they would determine the qualified operators. It is my opinion, and I've already given the previous, but I won't say it again, that the province of British Columbia, as the landowner, and some of the First Nations which are named in the contract could make an argument that they should be included in that process under the CTA. Because the step that follows that phase, if there is no qualified and interested operator found to run the track, then it has to be offered to governments at any level, federal, provincial, or local. That is under the Canada Transportation Act. But because the right-of-way and the track is already owned by the province of British Columbia, that creates a bit of a legal and regulatory short circuit, in my opinion, between the CTA and the contract. And that is a leverage point that I believe lends credence to an argument for the province to get involved in finding an operator directly under the CTA. So I believe that local governments who are the most affected by this should continue to play an advocacy role and continue to strongly encourage the province and work cooperatively with First Nations on making sure this process doesn't slow down. In terms of track condition, I have from 3 sources, one being the COO of the Rocky Mountaineer, second being Columbia Rail from interviews they made with CN staff on site, and third, comments that were transmitted to me through what I would consider to be high-level credible sources from senior CN executive through senior elected political officials to my ears, that all indicate that to keep the track operational, it needs somewhere between 10 and 30 million bucks in the next year or two to maintain its operational status. It is operational, but it's like an old house that's ready for repainting. If that does not occur in the Rocky Mountaineers operating this season, it's announced it's not operating next season unless there's something significant and convincing that occurs that the track will be open, in which case the Rocky Mountaineer service could probably be saved. But if the track is not maintained through the coming winter, I do not believe it will be operational next year, based on the information at my disposal. I could be wrong, but that's the information that I'm receiving. So I believe it's important to get that push through as an urgent factor by the communities. I will stop there, open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. As I reported yesterday morning meeting, the mess had been sent to the Attorney General, Deputy Premier. She was over the weekend here. I sent everything just for the council's quick update. Under the Councillor Trudy Clausen from Prince Shore, the task force was appointed. Peter, we managed to get some funds from the NDIT, and Peter works for them. The contract's completed. Whatever the job was given to the Peter, showed he has done all that. Now, what he's doing today and just today, he's working from his own pocket for his own time. We had the meeting because the class was coming here. I was to entertain the class from 150 Mile House, so I have to leave the meeting a few minutes early. And whatever the update was, on Friday, end of the NCLGA, we met some of the mayors in Prince George Mayor's office. We had a good discussion, and now the subject is, like Peter said earlier, I personally was under the influence the CN Rail must return the track in the same shape and form as they received, if no better. That was not the case. In the small, those magnifying glass lines, like Peter said, we found out they are not under obligation to leave more than 10, I believe it's a kilometer. Peter, correct me if I'm correct. The longest the rail track runs at 10 kilometers an hour on the track, they're okay. There's almost Go ahead, Peter.
Schedule D of the revitalization agreement lists segment by segment different speeds ranging from roughly 10 to about 30, 40 miles an hour. I don't remember exactly, by segment that have to be maintained to that operational standard. And that is considered the minimum, but the contract also says that the railway should be maintained as a prudent operator would do. So that's about where, what I did is I sent Schedule D to the Rocky Mountaineer and I asked, given your speed orders from CN, do those speed orders by section match Schedule D? And they said, for the most part, yes.
That
So I
is the
don't think-
biggest question. The question now is we need to do in-depth feasibility study. People are ready to take over the rail track, but who's going to pay millions and millions and millions of dollars? That is a question. And just for council information, Friday evening, Peter must have been brought to speed by Trudy. We agreed to write a letter because Simon Yu was supposed to meet today with the premier and ask him to at least fund. It's their fault, not our fault. They had a good relation. I haven't heard yet as till starting of this meeting what Simon Yu did it, what not. As soon as I hear, I'll let you know. And that's where we are. We are looking for funds from somewhere to find the solution. First of all, to find how much damage is done, how much it will take to correct that damage. That's where we are. Am I correct in a nutshell, Peter, what I said?
Yes, I think also an environmental study should occur because CN, any contamination over the last 24 years would have to involve discussions with CN. Although it's difficult to ascertain what contamination occurred before 2002 versus or 2004 versus after. The track is operational. The Rocky Mountaineer will be running on it once a week this year. But the sense I've gotten from everyone who is a railroader who has been open with me or with the associates in this group has been that it's sort of at a minimal standard at this stage. And any period, like what I said, if it goes a winter without maintenance and a spring, spring melt without maintenance, it won't be operational. There's a high probability it will not be operational by 2027 or 2028.
Thank you. And
Again, I have to be careful because these are my opinions, and there's people listening to this, and some, if I'm off if I say anything incorrect, some people might take action. But I believe it's necessary for communities to take an aggressive role. And I'm a consultant, so I'll do my sales pitch. I do hope that I will be given a mandate to act as an advocate, but because that will allow me to speak more freely and also to continue this work, which I believe can come to a successful conclusion.
thank you for your presentation. Any question, please, Councillor Delaney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you so much for your presentation. So what you're saying is the province built it, didn't maintain it, and now they want to dump it? But the province would still be on the hook for the liability even if they sold it for $1.
Not exactly. From what I've heard from the BC Rail, I know people who know BC Rail former employees that worked on the track, and the track was considered to be in good condition in 2004 and operating well at the time it was transferred to CN.
Oh, okay, so it was transferred to CN and then it wasn't maintained past there. So we've got 10 to $15 million of upgrades that need to be done on the track from Williams Lake to Squamish in order to make it a viable business case, because you ran a bunch of numbers. It sounds like there's a pretty good business case of putting cars on that track and running them up. And that would take the traffic off of the highway that we're sending down the road as well, which is going to
Yes.
do a big savior for us in carbon emissions.
Good point.
So what is it that you were saying you need a mandate? I mean, it sounds like you've dove into this. I mean, and you seem to understand the contract really well. It sounds like it would be a grave mistake for us to ditch this and have it not operating. I mean, why can we not convince the province to keep it and invest the money into it? I mean, geez, we're throwing money away for all sorts of different things. I mean, I think we could afford to put the money back into our own infrastructure and keep it going. Because you said you need a mandate. So you need, like, for municipalities to say, hey, we want Peter to be our spokesperson, and go out there and make a case to not sell this?
Basically, yes. Phase one was focused on business case, coming up with strong arguments to prevent the track from being torn out, which or sold for $1, which the minister made. I'm not taking credit for that, but you know, it was all a teamwork and basically and finding a short line operator that was interested. That was achieved. So I have two designations. I'm a professional transportation planner and I'm a registered professional planner. As a professional planner, I've been trained in advocacy planning. And one thing that is, I won't go into details, but basically one key factor is you have to have a client that says, we want you to be our advocate. I do not have a formal statement saying we want you to be the advocate. What I am giving, so I'm being very careful and I'm giving my professional opinion here so I don't get into trouble, because I'm saying this is my opinion, which I'm entitled to in a free and democratic society, and where my opinion is coming from. And I'm giving you I'm also mixing that with summaries from the report. And so that's where I'm saying if Dean and myself are to continue, then we need an agency to say, yes, do this, please.
So, because if this went through NDIT, obviously there's other communities between here and Squamish that are going to be affected by this. Did we take this to NCLGA? Like, there should be, was it supported there? And is it going to UBCM as well? Because I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I feel like, you know, you understand the case, you have the arguments. How do we empower the municipalities together to ask for this gentleman to be our advocate? Because it sounds like, you know, it's tomorrow when this decision gets made, and there is a case to slow it down and to maybe take a little bit more time to think about.
We have given the authority under the mandate you have given to my office. I've signed the letter, given the letter to Simon Yu, along with other mayor, so he can talk. Simon Yu can represent us when he's in Victoria or Vancouver to speak to the mayor, premier, and hopefully within a day or so we will hear something back.
So so Peter has this.
Yes, we would have something. Yeah.
Because he's asking for that, but we.
Yeah, that's the letter.
Okay.
It's already in the progress or done. I have requested him to proceed with it.
I'm in support. I mean, I think.
No, thank you. It's basically the Peter's information was to make sure you know you're all on board. Rather than I tell you, he let him speak to the council, and the resolution on the floor. I got Councillor Moses and Councillor Moses, please, next.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, thank you for these updates, Peter, and thank you for the work that you've been doing on behalf of our communities. A lot of my curiosity has already been answered by the previous questions by Councillor Delaney, but I guess I just have one simple question for you. In short, like in a sentence or two, what would be your call to action for us tonight? What is there a hope that you'll see that there's something that we'll do as a council? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. I believe Mayor Rathor has answered that question. I was not quite aware of the status of that letter that the mayors are undertaking, but I encourage council to continue to take an active interest in this and continue to take a willingness to play a strong role in pushing MLAs and MPs to continue to move this and don't let it fail. Based on what I've seen and heard from a lot of people, is there's a lot of economic development that's looking for rail focused on small and medium enterprises and short line to really grow. And I'm hoping an opportunity will come along that I can talk to one of those economic quantification people that can run those complex statistical models and prove that out. So I think we're looking at something that's necessary in the short term, transformative in the medium term, and could be radical in the long term.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for the information. Hearing nobody else, we go to resolution on the floor. Staff, please.
The motion is that the presentation of Peter Schultz from Cairnstone Planning on behalf of NDIT regarding Prince George to North Vancouver Railway Service be received for information.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it. I'll be speaking to Ms. Klassen, and then we will take the roll from there, okay? Thanks. Okay.
Thank you, Council. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you. And the computer check, please.
That the accounts payable computer check and EFT listings dated May 14th and 21st be received for information.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any question, concern? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Encroachment agreement.
That pursuant to the report of the planner dated May 19th, council approve entering into the proposed encroachment agreement with 1556694 BC Limited, DBA the Stampeder Inn, for a 5-year term for a deck retaining walls located on City Boulevard along Windmill Crescent and Lakeview Avenue, and an existing building encroachment along the laneway for the property at number 2 Lakeview Avenue, legally described therein, for a one-time contribution of $250, with all costs associated with the execution of the agreement being the responsibility of the property owner. Further, that the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to sign on behalf of the city.
I'll move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Moved and seconded. We have not received any correspondence, anything. Excellent. All in favor? Carried. Moving along. Bylaw enforcement amendment bylaw.
That pursuant to the report of the planner dated May 19th, City of Williams Lake Bylaw Notice Enforcement Amendment Bylaw number 2439 of this year be introduced and given first 3 readings.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any question, concern? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Financial Information Act 225 statement.
That pursuant to the report of the Manager of Finance dated May 19th, Council approved the 2025 Statement of Financial Information Report and disclosure schedules for submission to the province. Further, that the appropriate signatories be authorized to sign the statement on behalf of the city.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. I'm very proud to report to the community on behalf of the council. This council and along with staff have done excellent work. The report showed the number up to 31st of December. We have only less than $500,000 plus and minus $500,000 debt left. And very proud to tell the community we had paid over $4.4 million on top of the regular payment. And the debt would be basically paid off very shortly in the future. That is the highlight, and everything is in order. If anybody had any question, you can call upon any council member, myself, or the Mr. Maraka's office. We will help. And the big thanks goes on behalf of the council to Mr. CFO. Job well done. Excellent. Keep up the good work, sir. Mr. Maraka, to you and your leadership. It's a cooperation, collaboration between the council philosophy, like I always said, and the philosophy, the policy. We can sit here and make the policy. We don't do the operation. Operation done by Mr. Maraka, his team. And when both parties are working together, that's when we deliver the result and the positive result. Anything from you, sir? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Excellent work. And development cost charges bylaw.
That pursuant to the report of the Manager of Engineering dated May 20th, Council waive purchasing policy number 138 and sole source award of the Development Cost Charges Bylaw Update Project to Urban Systems Limited for $73,500 excluding GST, with the remaining amount for the 2026 capital budget to be drawn from general reserves should project completion occur prior to 2027.
This is our bylaw, about a 9-year-old. We haven't reviewed, so it's about time. Mr. Maraca, anything from your officer?
No, Your Worship, I think that just that this amendment to the bylaw will allow us to add additional projects to eligible things in the financial plan, so we can use the funds that we actually have in reserve and expend money for the 2027 budgets for projects that are identified.
I'll move the recommendation.
Moved and I need seconder, please. Moved and seconded, Councillor Nelson.
Yeah, I support the recommendation. In 2023, the province brought in Bill 44, which gave us the opportunity to reflect upon the DCCs. We had a tight range where we could only use them in allocations. Bill 44 allows a greater flexibility. Off the top of my head, we've got over $2.5 million in DC set aside. We want to be able to use that money invested in infrastructure in our community.
Thank you. Point well taken. All in favor? Carried unanimously. A poll of council, reference to Recycle BC.
That pursuant to the report of the Manager of Public Works dated May 14th, the poll of council conducted on May 14th authorizing entering into the Amendment Number 1 Statement of Works Agreement provided by Recycle BC, and that the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the city be ratified.
Moved and seconded. All, any question, concern? Hearing none, all in favor? Oppose, if any? Carried unanimously. Community Services, William Lake Public Art Committee.
That pursuant to the report of the Director of Economic Development dated May 19th, council received the 2026 submission from the Williams Lake Public Art Committee and approved the selected projects for the matching annual allocation of $5,000.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. These are two artwork done. One is continuation on the CRD wall behind the aged care. Second one is on Sam's Restaurant, right beside the Credit Union and Downtown Business Association jointly did last year a nice bear carving done. So that's where it's going to be there. Looks very beautiful. And the work done on the wall of the CRD will continue till we complete the whole wall. Any concern, question? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Information Council information package, please.
Move receipt.
Moved and seconded, all receipt. Anything you wanted to, oh, Councillor Moses, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to comment briefly that from one of our work meetings on community safety and health, we requested some of these newsletters to be added into our package, and I see they're in there. So I just wanted to say thank you. It's great to have those updates. Thank you, Your Worship.
Excellent. Good job. All in favor? Carried. And the round table, please. Councillor Jasmine Lyon, please.
Thank you. I got a lovely email today that the Young Professionals Group is doing another event. So that's going to be happening on Sunday, and they're hoping that people can pre-register for it so they know how many are showing up. But it is going to be a free picnic lunch in the park featuring disc golf, but only if you want to. So great way to meet people, great way to get tied into the community again. And yeah, there is a poster out. It's on Facebook as well and has a QR code for registering.
Thank you. Good job. Councillor Bain.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll leave NCLGA to you and our resolutions to do an update. You and I attended, but I just wanted to do a quick shout out that we are hosting some medical students being medical nursing OT. I actually don't know, but I will be doing a bike ride, and maybe the CAO has mentioned he might join me on Thursday afternoon, and I'm hoping, Your Worship, I'll let you know times, but we're 14 of them, 14 wanted to bike. I'm pretty excited. I had to ask the Boys and Girls Club, so big thanks out to them. They're gonna lend us some bikes and their trailers. So exciting times for anybody who wants to show up and say hi or whatever. We'll be hosting that. And thanks to our staff too for helping. They're helping me get some goodie bags and all the things to say, please stay, please come back to our community. Thank you.
The same evening, there's Indigenous student role model, and hopefully we will see more maximum council member, then we can join Councillor Babe end of the day. Councillor Moses, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I wanted to mention the School District 27 Indigenous role models. They're being crowned this week, and they've been exemplary examples of our community, representing us extremely well in more ways than one. So big shout out to them. Another shout out to our local theater troupe. They are hosting a competition here next week. The current play they're doing is fantastic, and I've predicted on my Facebook that I think they'll win awards this year for this one. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Nelson.
Just a huge shout out to the community organization, the Lakers Car Club, the Children's Festival, the Caribou Chilcotin Gymnastics Association holding the Caribou Classic, and to all the other organizations. It was a jam-packed weekend, hugely successful. Kudos to everybody. Thank you.
Councillor Delaney. Councillor Flashfuller.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, nothing from me other than I'm working Thursdays, so I'm sorry I will not be at either of those events.
No problem from me. The tax notice has been sent out. I know I'm going to be a bad boy asking everybody to pay the taxes. Yesterday we had a class from 150 Mile House. Not one, two students asked me, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Then the two students asked me in particular, why do you collect the taxes? City need to run, city need to operate. We provide services, city council, municipalities have no other means and ways having any source of income. Our maximum source of income comes from the municipality property taxes. So before I go further, thanks to Rena, and she really helped me big time. It was quite a class yesterday, and almost every student asked a question. Quickly from me, 13th of May, I attended the job fair on behalf of the council. A lot of people in 2-3 days. It was excellent and well represented, and the credit union had AGM. It was well attended. And Brian Hansen and Mike Peterman came to see me in reference to the update of the indoor sports facility, which will take place, I believe, on Wednesday. We will be talking on that. A couple other, about 10 other delegation came to my office, and people from the museum, and I haven't had a chance last 2 days. That was a Tuesday when I was on my way to the NCLG. I had 3 people meeting with me before I left NCLGA. And reference to what my friend said, NCLGA, we had the 2 resolution, and both resolution was adopted unanimously, and I was very proud to represent them. One was reference to the wildfire reduction in the forestry, and another was the healthcare provider crisis. So both resolution was well received. I had the opportunity to tour the showcasing renewable energy and energy efficiency in Prince George. I ended up going to the same sawmill was blown out, I believe at Lakeland, if I remember the name. They create the heat from the waste of the mill, and 9 or 11 Prince George City big buildings are heated with that. And they had a backup plan and everything. It's nice to visit those areas. And we had the delegation. I attended the mayor's task force on BC Rail. The meeting was called, and on a very quick manner, late as we was all there. On 23rd, I had the honor on Saturday. That was one of the busiest day for my office. I left home for 8:27, never made it home till 10:38 or so. It was so horrible. But I felt honored representing the council gymnastic team, and they had the great competition. Royal Purple walk. I could not walk because I had another commitment. And thanks to the Public Works people, they had an open house. They did an excellent job the way all our Public Works Department machines, what they do, how they do, the machines was on display. And William Lake Hospice Society has opened a new store on 2nd Avenue, and it would be nice if people visit them. And Attorney General was in town at the last minute, and myself and Kim Dressler, our manager, administrative services, we toured her around and hosted her a lunch, and I accompanied her for a couple hours. And the purpose she came here, and I was with her till almost 3:30. And the skate jam was taking place at the Britannia Park, and the last minute they called, they wanted to see my presence there. I represented the council, they was very happy to see. As Councilor Nelson mentioned, one of the biggest car show I ever seen. Ever since I became to this mayor's office, I've been picking the car of Mayor Choice. I never had a difficulty. This time, every car I took a photograph. Next one was better than the previous. So I had a hell of a time. I picked two, and I couldn't stay there long enough to. I had another commitment on the Children's Festival in the Britannia Park. It was pretty good. And yesterday morning, we had a BCR rail meeting again. Like I said, 150-mile class visit. Once again, thanks to Rena. And TRU meeting was very fruitful yesterday, and I could not go further without thanking Mr. Maraca and Ms. Beankamp. They done excellent job working with the TRU staff. TRU would be there like council has promised to the community. We are working, we are doing everything in our power, whatever shape and forms come. And there's a newspaper, they called me yesterday, they wanted me to tell them what we are doing. I could not release that information, as Dr. Rainey, Vice Chancellor, had made similar comment. We are working, hopefully within 24 hours, the press release would be made, and then we will let everybody know. I'm so excited about the TRU result. Like I said always, there is nothing, I mean nothing, on the table for this council. Any hurdle we came, we removed it positively by working together. Yes, I apologize from the community for the Drax plant closing. When they don't tell you anything, you can't help it. That is the one black spot on our face, and I can't help it if they're not going to ask or nobody going to tell me anything. I can't help it. And yesterday, myself and Councilor Moses, along with our economic development manager, we had the honor to visit the community forest spring picnic. It is a beautiful place. If you haven't been there, I never been there. I felt guilty visiting that area. If you haven't been there, please go see that. And today we met Economic Development Committee, which was a very healthy discussion and good meeting. That is a quick update from my office. Any question, concern? Mr. Maraca, please.
Nothing from me, Your Worship.
Rena, anything from CFO, sir?
Just wanted to add to your announcement about taxes that please, taxes are due on July 2nd. If you do not receive a notice in the community, give us a call and we reissue it. Claim your homeowner grant, which will help with taxes, and thank you for paying the taxes.
Well, please, Mr. Maraca.
Your Worship, and just the CFO, and if you're late, there is no room for any kind of adjustments. There's nothing the city can do, or the mayor or council to say things. I'll leave that to Vitaly to elaborate.
Yes, and there will be penalty if taxes are not paid up to July 2nd, so please pay.
Well, I received my taxes, I believe, as I was reading, the last date is July 2nd. My advice is you got almost 5 weeks. Get out and pay your taxes soon as you can. Like Mr. Maraca said, there's no leeway. Nobody can help you. It's a mandate by the provincial government. Don't even ask anybody for anything. but I feel honored sharing with the people. The mill rate is the same as the last year. If your assessment has gone up, it's not in the hand of the council. We prepare the budget according to the budget. We go set the mill rate. Even staff's not happy, but I'm thankful to Mr. Maraca and his team. They work with us, and we are happy to let you know it's the same mill rate was the last year. Whatever the tax you receive, it's approximately plus and minus 48% tax notice is the municipality, 52% is the other identities, i.e. the Caribou Regional District, hospital, complex, school board, you name it. It's so much, so it's not all our taxes. If there was a gentleman sitting in that, he was very thankful. He said his taxes went down $200. And somebody else, friend of mine, called me today. He gave me heck. He said his taxes went $200 up. So it's a plus and minus. Please get out and pay taxes.
Move adjournment.
Yeah. Moved adjournment is on the table, and second, before we moved, anything from our economic development manager, please. We don't have anything. Thank you. Moved and second, all in favor. Thank you. Meeting adjourned, please. Thank you.